Let's talk about two changes that are very small in the patch notes, but are huge in terms of their implications, and that is a buff to McCree and a nerf to Soldier. The buff to McCree, going back to the beta iteration, maintains full damage at range with fall off at extreme distances. I was playing him and I felt that, okay, now he's not that great close. He's still pretty good, but I feel like he could maybe use some of that range back, and it's interesting to see. I feel like he's now just the pick over Soldier because the Soldier nerf was spread recovery will begin after a short delay. And Kevin, explain why this is a huge, huge
so two things off of this. So the McCree buff is not actually a McCree buff, it's a Pharah nerf. And let's be honest here. Let's be totally honest.
Sure. Contextual nerf, you're right.
Pharah has been dominating competitive play right now just because of the amount of AoE splash that she puts out there, and there is no effective counter to her at the moment. And I'm way too broad. We don't have enough time to go into all of that. Yes, there are counters to Pharah, but nothing that is immediately evident. So the initial nerf to McCree way back when was this damage at range, and that's when I thought he was too powerful. Fan the Hammer's annoying, it's really ridiculous, I'm glad they nerfed the damage, I think it made tanks more relevant, but this, in my opinion, was the true problem to McCree way back when.
He was a big deal, yeah.
He was a freaking sniper by himself. Yes, they have the fall off at extreme ranges, I'm really going to put in some PTR time on McCree. Now, in regards to the Soldier nerf that you said, so basically what happens, like you were saying, normally you're able to kind of use a burst fire pattern with Soldier in the past. You could just he had 25 shots, and yes, you could do full auto, but he'd have a giant bloom by the time you're at the end of your clip. If you do a quick little burst fire, he never loses his accuracy. He's always at 100% accuracy, and that's what made him so cool, is because you could track, great hit scan, character, you could do wonderful damage with him. But now there's actually a delay in the bloom coming back down once you use shots. I want to know how long that is, because even if it's a 10 or 20% nerf or something like that, that's a 10 or 20% damage nerf to Soldier overall. That's huge. And given that he was the #1 default DPS pick in terms of like just fitting into any comp right now, that's a big deal to him.
Yeah. I completely agree with everything you just said.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'll get into the really minute, this changes, but this is a big deal to top level Soldier competitive play.
So I will say that Blizzard, when it was coming out of beta, they felt that McCree, with his range, was just too good all around.
Yeah.
He was super deadly at range, he was super deadly up close, and there was no weak point. Now, is the weak point supposed to be when he's up close, or maybe just hope that he isn't really good at aim? I don't know. I think there are some characters that are going to counter him, but...
Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to go hands-on yet with any of the changes that they made, but I'm first thing when I get home tonight. I'm really excited to jump on, especially Zenyatta. I really want to see what those changes feel like. So.
Sure.
I'm going to jump on the PTR and try out Anna, for sure. I might do it right after this episode.
Yeah, D.Va too. I was playing against a D.Va, and her Matrix came up, and I was like, cool, just gonna wait. And then her Matrix came down, and I was like, haha, and then it came up again. I was like, oh, right, there's a change. But I love that change, and a lot to look forward to here. Anyway, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. This has been Overwatch HQ Episode 3. A lot of people have been asking about the regularity of the show, and to be totally honest, it's really difficult when we get absolutely nothing for weeks, and then we just get a huge patch that's necessitates an episode. So
I think that's the beauty of HQ. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's contextual as to when there's news, when there's stuff that needs to be discussed.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. And for all things Overwatch, you're already in the right place at Overwatch HQ.